All right, this lesson is on the most important drawing tools, the pen tool, the pencil tool, some of the modifier keys, and then also the smooth tool. Okay, so I'm going to start off by selecting the pen tool. This is probably the most powerful tool. I'm going to go ahead and here I'm going to change the fill color to no fill. And that's just so that as you're tracing, you only have an outline. You don't have a fill color that might block what you're tracing over. Okay, so we're just going to make it all in outlines. Okay, you have the option to change your stroke, and you also have the option to change your stroke color if you'd like. Okay, we're just going to leave this as is right now. First thing, to create straight lines, all you have to do is click. So you can go click, 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 click. You'll notice as I stretch away, you see a preview line there of where I'm going. Okay, wherever you drop it, that's where it's going to end up. All right, and then the last thing you want to notice is that we got to get into the habit of closing all our shapes so that we can easily fill them in with color. And I'll go ahead and go here and see this little indicator, that little circle right next to, see it's not there and then there. That little circle indicator, when you come to the beginning point, you come full circle, that lets you know that you're closing the path. And that's very, very important. I can't stress that enough. So make sure that you close the paths, okay? And I'll go ahead and show you in tracing how that ends up working, okay? So if you just leave things open like this and then you decide to go do something else and you grab your, say, your arrow tool like this and you left it open, what happens is that, say that you want to fill this with color, it won't fill it the way that you want to. So you always want to close this shape. So even if you leave something open to begin with, you can always close it. To do that, you want to go back to the pen tool. And if you go back to the last point, see that little slash kind of diagonal line there? If you just click on that point, that lets you know that you're on the last point. That's what you want to do so that you continue from that path. You can click here, now you're on it, and then you can go down here. You can come back up and you get that little circle indicator. And you can always close a path after the fact. Okay, so that's how you draw diagonal lines and how you close paths as you go, or close them after the fact if you do something else and then realize that you left one open. All right. Okay, so now the other way that you can use this tool is you can create rounded shapes as you go, more organic shapes. Okay, so if you click here, just like in the tutorials, you can click for your first point, and then you can move here and you can pull this so that it goes one way, and then you can pull it so that it goes another way. And you'll notice the preview line, wherever you drop it, that's where it's going to stay. So you click here and then you pull and you drag out these anchor points, and you notice if you toggle, it'll change the curve of the line. And this is going to be very difficult to get used to. It's just a practice thing. You're going to become frustrated, and a lot of you are going to be tempted to click, 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 click to try to trace around things. You don't want to do that, because even though it might look okay or virtually invisible, when you actually color these in, it's going to be very apparent that there's all these extra points. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Control Z or Command Z on a Mac. Okay, and basically what you want to do is you want to learn to step away, click, hold down, and drag so you get the anchor points, and step away and just create whatever shape you're trying to create. Okay, and then we go here. All right, now some other things that you can do is you can modify existing lines after the fact. Not a problem. Okay, and this is probably the most powerful thing, is that you have this ability to modify the paths and be very, very precise. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and show you here. You see that little plus right when I'm on the path. If I'm off of it, it goes into a little asterisk, but if I'm on the path, I get a little plus sign. I can add points. Okay, I can actually take away points. So if I want to remove this one, see the minus sign. Okay, so I can modify that. I can go with my white direct selection arrow here, and I can grab a handle and I can modify that. So I can change the line, the existing line. Okay, if I go anywhere in between 2 points, there's this path modifier. You can just grab that, and you can grab that line. Look, anywhere in here. Okay, so you can grab the handles. You can grab the handles. You can grab the points. You can grab in between any of the points on the path, and you can basically reshape this after the fact to tweak it, to make it a little bit more precise the way that you want it. Okay, the other thing you have the ability to do is you can convert anchor points. So with this direct selection arrow, you can decide you want to make this point here that's square rounded, and you can go up here and it'll automatically give you these options up here, and it'll turn it rounded. Or you can take a rounded point like this, select it, and you can go to convert to pointed corner here, and you can turn it back into one of these, okay? Same thing with like shapes. You can grab this little dot here with that direct selection arrow and you can modify it so that it becomes curved, okay? The other thing you can do is underneath here, we have this convert anchor point, and this does very similar to what we were doing up here. You can go here and you can convert it, so you can smooth it out and clicking, hold down and dragging out, and just depending on what way you twist these or how far you pull, you'll get that effect. Or you can click once on the point and convert back, and you can pull here, and right now they're where they teeter totter. The other thing you can do is if you don't want to do that, all you have to do is go to one of these with this tool and you can break that so it doesn't teeter totter. And if you decide you do want to teeter totter, you just click on it again and pull back out and they teeter totter. Okay, so you have that ability. All right, I'm going to break it again so you can see it. All right, so basically you have the ability to control these lines after you draw them. So as you're using the pen tool, don't get too hung up on the fact that you're not tracing very accurately to begin with. You can always go back in and modify, but one of the most important things is probably to not do too many points too close together, okay? And so I'm going to show you another tool here. We're going to go to the pencil tool. That's probably your other most powerful tool. And for this one, you can do, you know, a shape like this. And then again, if you come right to the end, this is new in CC, you get that little circle at the end that lets you know that it's a closed shape. So with everything, you want to do the closed shape. But you notice how there's a lot of points here. That can become a bit problematic, okay? So you can remove some of these manually, or the other thing that you can do is see in here, you have this smooth tool. And as long as your path is selected, you can kind of go in here and smooth things out by clicking, holding down, and dragging across the path in the areas that you want to smooth. And you'll notice some of the points remove and smooth out the path. So that might be a tool that kind of helps you out. Okay, and then again, you can still go into your direct selection arrow. Okay, I'm going to click off of it and modify anything that you want manually in here, okay? You can, convert these anchor points into square or round here. That's fine. Okay. You can reshape the path directly here using the reshape path tool. But some of these tools, I'll provide you with other videos that you can look into them more in depth with more settings and stuff. But this is kind of an overview. Now, just so that you get the hang of how this is going to apply to your work, I'm going to really quickly show you a demonstration on an actual tracing composition, okay? So I just put the tracing back here already. I've locked it up. I put it in its own layer. And I'm not going to go through the process of building layers yet, how we discussed in the first week. There's going to be another video next week that goes into it in depth, like how to get started and build the layers as you go. But basically, I've put this on a layer. I've locked it so that it can't move around. And then I'm just going to do it all in one layer. But eventually, you will have to build everything in separate layers, okay? So just to show you how you would use your tools and how you would use closed shapes, okay? We're going to go back to the pen tool here. For something like this window here, what I like to do is I like to trace every single little part. Think of it as little pieces of construction paper that I'm having you cut out. And the reason is because that way I can choose and assign a different color to this piece versus this other piece. So I'm just going to go and grab this one here. I'm going to go across this way, and I'm going to try to overlap it a little bit just so that when I color it in, there's not anything missing. And I'm going across. Okay, so there's no little gaps in between this where these overlap. And I like to start on the opposite end so that I don't accidentally delete any points. And I'm just going to go up. And I don't care if there's a bit of an overlap, because remember, we can always change it if we don't like it. So I'm going to create a bit of an overlap. I'm going to come this way. I'm going to come this way. I'm going to come this way, and then I'm going to come this way, okay? And if it's not right on top of my drawing, that's fine, because I know that I draw crooked with my hand, okay? And now I have those 4 pieces so that I can eventually assign different colors and get the appearance of volume, shading, and stuff. So that's how I would use just straight. I just clicked, clicked, click, click, click. I didn't click and drag or anything like that. If there's any problems here, I can always modify this. I can move this down. I can bring this in. I can move this down. Can bring this one down, okay, so that I can create the overlap that I want. And that way they line up a little better. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this up. Okay, and you can just tweak it. Okay, I'm not going to leave it perfect right now in the interest of time, but there you go. All right. For things that are curved, I would grab my pen tool here. I might do something like this here. Again, I would create all the different pieces, so I don't want to just do the big outline of the cup on the outside. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to go here. Okay. And notice how right now my fill color is kind of blocking everything that I'm doing here. I don't want that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change my fill color to a no fill here. Okay, so that I can see the tracing. And if black is not the right color for you, if you want to try like red or pink or blue or something that it pops out against the sketch color, that's fine too. All right, so you'll notice that I didn't trace this well here. So I can zoom in here. I'm going to just grab my zoom tool in here. And notice I can go in here and then tweak with my direct selection arrow. I can modify this. So I don't worry that I didn't get it quite right. And I usually just do a rough trace. See this point here? It's actually a square point. I don't want that. I'm going to put it back here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert the anchor. And now it's rounded. Okay, so you can always go in here and you can change these up however you want. Okay, I can pull these in to make it this side a little bit more square. And pull it up. And see this one again, it's a square point. I don't have any handles there. I can change it in there. Okay. So the trick is like a lot of you will want to kind of create the whole outline shape of this. But then what happens is that if you do that and you create the whole outline shape, it only assigns one color to the shape. So if you create multiple shapes here, so if you create this shape here, okay, and I just go straight through the dog's legs. I don't care that that's there. I just go and create all the way through. Okay, you don't want to just stop anywhere. I'm going to actually create an overlap here. I'm going to go like this here. Okay, because you want there to be an overlap. It doesn't matter. When I fill these in with color, I can hide them behind one another. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. But just so you understand this pen tool and how it's going to all kind of work together. Okay, and there's going to be another video similar to this in later weeks on how to get started. I'm going to go ahead and just fill this with color so you can kind of see. And I'm going to fill this with color too. Okay, and if I remove the outlines here on this one, and I remove the outline here on this one, okay, right now this shape is on top. Okay, I'm going to go in here and you're going to learn about this a little later more. You've already learned about in week 1 about rearranging layers, and I'm just doing it here. This way, this cup here, if I make it slightly darker, see how you can define the different areas of the shape and it starts giving it a little bit more volume? That is why we want to create these as separate areas, okay? And this isn't very smooth right now, so I can always come in here and just with my direct selection arrow, I clicked off of it so I can get just this point here. I can go in here and try to smooth this out and make it look a lot nicer. All right, there we go. Okay, and you can always tweak this so that. So you're going to learn more about all this organization and stuff. I just want to show you how it's all going to kind of play together so that when you start practicing with these tools, you start thinking of big closed shapes, but that overlap kind of as if you were cutting this and creating this with different colored or different shaded construction paper. All right. Now, the other thing you want to keep in mind is when you are drawing with these, again, I keep stressing this idea of closed overlapping shapes, okay? When you're using the pen tool or the pencil tool, I want it to be clear. You don't want to just leave open-ended lines. I know that like this lid here, for example, looks like it just starts here and ends here, but that becomes problematic because you won't be able to fill it. So for instance, you don't just want to grab your pencil tool. For instance, if you go this way and then you go this way, see if there's a slanted line, it will continue as one shape. And then you go down this way, okay? If you just leave it like that, the problem will come when you start to color this in. If you add color to it, see how it goes at a diagonal wherever it ends to down here? It doesn't go all the way down where this lid is actually supposed to be. So what you want to do is you want to make sure to continue it all the way down. If you grab your pencil tool and you try to go to the end of this and you do this, notice that even though it looks like they're put together, they're not. This is a separate piece and that's a separate piece, and that becomes problematic. So to fix that, like with the pencil tool, you'd want to select it first with your black arrow and then switch over either to the pen tool or to the pencil tool. I started with the pencil tool, so I'm going to go to the pencil. See that diagonal line? That means it's going to continue. I would go all the way down where the line would have been down here and then come around until you get that circle and close it. Okay, so just when you're drawing these things, don't look at this as like for this one, don't just go like this, like this, like this, and then start over in here, because that's going to create a problem when it comes to filling it in. It's not going to look the way you want it to. Don't just leave it like that. See how that just even removed that? You don't want to do that. What you want to do is you want to make sure you define the shape, like that's the wing, come all the way around. And then for the chicken, you want to go all the way around. And again, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look perfect to begin with. You just want to go all the way around and make sure it's a closed path. Okay, that way you can color this shape one color and then this shape another color. Okay, so that there's some differentiation where the wing meets the body. Okay. All right, so no open just lines. This isn't just a line like that. It's an actual shape. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put it back. All right, so this concludes your lesson on these drawing tools. If you have any questions, please be sure to contact me.